So you've heard of genres, categories that help to describe types of fiction and nonfiction. These are a few examples of genres. You've probably heard of most of these, but there are others, and many more genres available at Vic High Library. The fantasy genre is set in alternate worlds. These worlds usually involve dragons or some sort of mythical creatures. Fantasy genre can also involve magic and the supernatural. Either way, there's usually a struggle between good and evil. A well-known example of fantasy is the Lord of the Rings trilogy, both a book series as well as a set of popular movies. Like fantasy genre, science fiction tends to focus on alternate worlds, but worlds focused on the possibilities of science and technology. This could include worlds beyond Earth, life on other planets, space, or aliens, or a future Earth where technology rules, involving robots, time machines, virtual worlds, or make-believe future technologies. The popular book and movie Ender's Game are a perfect example of science fiction at its best. Dystopian fiction is a subgenre of science fiction. The word dystopian comes from the Greek word for bad or hard place. It's the opposite of the word utopia. A dystopia is basically a future world that's gone bad, either because of an oppressive government, corporation, or powerful group. Probably the best known, most recent dystopian fiction is the Hunger Games trilogy, a popular book series as well as a popular movie series. Fantasy, science fiction, and dystopian genres basically describe alternate worlds. Expect a lot of action, adventure, and a battle between good and evil. And then there's the steampunk genre. Like dystopian and science fiction, steampunk is about technology gone bad, and that forms a huge part of the plot. However, the setting is historical, and the technology is old, including clocks and often steam-powered machines. Steampunk includes elements of science fiction, fantasy, and maybe even a little bit of horror and adventure mixed in. Do you recognize the man in the picture? That's 19th century American President Abraham Lincoln, paired with an old machine gun. Yes, steampunk combines history and technology in unusual and unexpected ways. One of the best-known examples of steampunk is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's a movie that came out about 10 years ago, but it's based on a graphic novel by Alan Moore, and it is in Vic High Library. Like steampunk, the historical fiction genre is set in the past. The storyline represents a real event or time period in history, and accurately represents the time period with descriptive details, the language of the times, as well as the technology of the times. The word fiction implies that there is a make-believe story. The recently released movie The Book Thief, based upon a popular book, is a good example of historical fiction. The main character of Liesel is made up, but the horrible events she experienced in World War II were all too real. The genres of mythology and legends also focus on the past. These stories use supernatural events or cultural traditions to teach lessons about people or explain the origins of the earth. Every culture has mythology and legends. BC First Nations, the Romans, and the Greeks. Many movies have been made about mythological figures. In fact, in the summer of 2014, a movie was made about the Greek god Hercules. Steampunk, historical fiction, mythology, and legends are stories set in the past, but the characters still have problems and feelings like people do today. If you'd like to step back in time, these genres are a good choice. Then there are the genres that describe unlikely worlds, settings and events most of us will never experience. Mystery is a make-believe story about a crime you, the reader, need to solve like a puzzle. True crime is a true story about a real-life crime or murder. It tells the story of the crime and the criminal. The question isn't what happened, but why did it happen? Then there's the genres of horror and thriller. Both are about being chased and hunted. Usually, in a horror genre, the supernatural hunts people. In a thriller, people hunt people. And also part of these unlikely worlds are graphic novels and manga. Both are illustrated stories. Often, but not always, both have elements of fantasy. The difference is that manga is a Japanese-style comic with a very unique and distinct style of illustration. So maybe alternate and unlikely worlds don't appeal to you, and you want a story that's grounded in the real world. These genres are for you. There's fiction about love, stories about travel, and real-life adventures around the globe. And then there's genres that deal with people. An autobiography is the story of someone's life written by that individual. A biography is the story of someone's life, but it's written by somebody else. There are many different types of genres. The right one for you depends on the type of world you'd most enjoy exploring. Your teacher librarian will show you how to find these genres in your library.